So this video you're about to see took place before the George Floyd press announcement, with Ben Crump himself announcing the stunning $27 million settlement. Now, what Mr. Crump does not mention is approximately 8,000 of that is going into his pocket. I think I read that he takes 1/3. So that right there causes me great consternation. The other thing is the hypocritical, disingenuous, deceptive, quite frankly, just false and terribly misleading portrayal of this Floyd. Floyd is a violent felon. He was arrested for aggravated assault, and he did not display any peacefulness or care for humanity when he broke into the woman's house, held her at gunpoint with his buddies, and searched her house for drugs and money, and inquired if she wanted her child, who was in her stomach at the time, if she wanted her child killed as well. So this is why I have almost a near, I have a visceral reaction. I was going to say violent, but I'll say visceral, because in this arena, violence is, that word is taken like literally, and I don't want to be misunderstood. So the other issue is the hypocrisy is just completely, almost makes me unable to contain myself. First of all, I'm watching them on a podium. None of them are 6 feet apart. This has been going on since the beginning of COVID. They are all leaders in the community, and they're hunched and bunched up together on stage, just like the 6 feet, doesn't matter to them or doesn't apply to them. And that is, I'm going to call BS in the interest of how they speak, okay? The other problem is then Crump has the audacity to talk about the funeral. Yeah, okay, that was a time when nobody in all of America was having a freaking funeral. So the fact that Floyd, a felon who has just gotten out of 5 years of prison for aggravated assault 2 years prior, is suddenly having a 500-person golden gilded talking to the president-elect and etc. is just also quite a bit hard to take. By the way, it turns out that $60,000 event was sponsored by another one of their black buddies, Merriweather Feather, whatever his name is. Okay. Then the other issue is, while they're talking about how all of this, quote, Black Lives Matters and justice and all this, okay, this $27 million settlement is all before there's even been the trial, which brings us to the point, since from the very beginning, they are themselves very hypocritically not abiding by the rule of law. They are not allowing, quote, justice to be served, because that requires due process. And by the way, how fair is it for everybody for them to have already assigned themselves judge and jury, when now the actual policeman does not have a fair trial, because in their minds they've already assigned it. That's not due process. That's not the rule of law. And that, by the way, is so Crump, Ben Crump, is the one I'll refer to in this video you're about to see. And he is who needs to be investigated as well, because this is what I'm talking about, where the black people are doing this and they are really nearly trumping Trump, because he is the one who was inciting all of this violence. He is the one that started making all these demands that caused such a commotion that if you do your investigation, I am certain that his multi-million-dollar agenda was behind the scenes puppeteering all of this promotional. It was not a coincidence. And by the way, what another deceptive, misleading bunch of BS that Crump has the audacity to say, oh, Floyd was just saying, whenever black men, they're just trying to tell the police who they are. Give me a effing break. See, I cannot even contain myself because, by the way, when Floyd was posing as a utility person, as he he might have avoided getting charged with violent breaking and entry because he was deceptively posing as a utility worker. So give me a break with that BS. These guys have all been violence against women abusers. That means that they are bullies. They are not peaceful people. They are the people that the cops need to be careful of because they have proven themselves to be violent, and they are the bullies that the innocent ones, such as myself, rely on the police. So we're not going to have somebody like Crump threatening our whole civil society by continuing to get up there and making these outrageous, belly-aching BS, can barely speak English, and he is giving black people such a bad name. He is making these deceptive, belly-aching bullshit while he walks away a multi-billionaire from all of this BS that he has caused so much of this all summer long. He who needs to be investigated. If we're going to divide this into black and white, then the white people better wake the fuck up, because he is who needs to be investigated. Oh, and by the way, if you feel so badly that your Floyd was such a peaceful fellow, then have Floyd give some of those multi-million dollars to the victims that he victimized and talk to them about how long it's going to take till they get over it. How about if that little baby did survive that little ordeal, how about you give that some of the multi-million dollar settlement to that little baby who had to have the mother terrorized for the rest of her pregnancy because Floyd and the rest of his thugs had to get in and deceptively enter her private residence. So give me a break. If black people want to put up these sexual predators and these thugs and these violence against women violators, then white people better wake the fuck up, and we better investigate these people and don't let them bankrupt our cities while they're belly aching about how they can't pay their bills. We have Crump over here bankrupting the cities for another 27 million before there was even a criminal trial to find out what Floyd, even the fact that he had 4 drugs in his system, methamphetamine, morphine, fentanyl, marijuana, that he had tested positive for COVID. Oh, by the way, Crump, the fact that he tested positive for COVID, that would be a reason why that the policeman would have to have him in his prone position. And by the way, Crump, why don't you stop inciting all this violence and riots? Why don't you take your multi-million dollar settlement and reimburse all of those business owners that you incited them to be looted and robbed? Why don't you pay the policemen who you got beat up, who you got killed? Why don't you start using all of that money if you feel so fucking badly and you want to make a good... If it's not about the money, then take that money and start reimbursing and restitution for all the damage that you did. That's where you can start if you're genuine about any of this. Otherwise, I'm going to call it bullshit, and you're making the problem worse.